All right, this is the video for how to create our drawing for the cylinder box, the master model approach, and drafting assignment. So the master model approach is where we're going to create a separate file for our drawing. Yes, we can do the drawing in the same file that we created the box in, and there's nothing really wrong with that approach. Some people prefer it that way. Some people like to do the master model approach. We're just going to do the master model approach for right now. So with the master model approach, we create a separate file for the drawing, and we reference the part that we just made. So the box that we just made, we're going to reference that with our within our drawing. And when we reference that model, what happens is at any time that model is changed, then the file is also updated. So there's this permanent link, this permanent connection between the child and the parent files. And that's what we're going to do with the master model approach. Master model approach is not only used for drafting. We'll use it later on as well. So let's go ahead and get started. So this is the box that we just created. Now we want to make a drawing for this box. So we could come over to application and go to drafting. That would put the drafting file in the same file as the model. When we have a really, really, really large or complicated assembly, anything like that, the more that we do in the same file, the larger that file is going to be. So there's lots of reasons why we'd want those separated. One of them is to just keep the file size a little bit smaller. The other is that people can be working on the model while other people are working on the drawing. So that's what we're going to do the master model approach for right now. So we are not going to go to application and drafting. What we want to do is we want to go to file, new. We're actually going to create a whole separate document here. So we don't want to create a new model. What we want to do is we want to come over to drawing. We want to make sure that we have reference existing part selected. We are in inches. If the box is open in NX already, it should have the correct file already assigned. If not, make sure that you go out and you find that file, because it's going to be referencing the model that's in that file. Make sure that we have named this correctly, and we want this to be a size B. So this size A is your typical 8.5 by 11. The size B is the 11 by 17. Now we'll take the 11 by 17 and scale it down to the 8.5 by 11. But we're going to go ahead and start off on the 11 by 17. You need to make sure that you're saving this in the same location, the same folder that you have this model in. So if you have it at the desktop right now, you need to make sure that you're also saving the new file that we're just about to make and the desktop. This is why it's a good idea to create a folder for these models so that everything has to do with that model is in that folder, whether we're doing an assembly, drawings, simulations, anything like that. It's all going to be saved in that folder. So make sure that you're saving it in the same location that you have your model in. So we'll go ahead and hit OK. So NX is asking us to input some information. This is the default title box that Siemens gives us. So we can input some information. First issue, you can go and put the date, drawn by, put your name, and the check by, approved by. I wouldn't worry about that. We can just hit close. And that generates that information down here in the title box. And what we're going to be creating is a drawing for our box. So we want to be able to have enough views that we can accurately dimension the box and provide enough detail to, for our manufacturer to be able to make them. And we'll go ahead and start off with our views. So to input a view, come here to the top left, we have base view. We click on that. Get a window that pops up that is asking for the model view to use. So this is where we get to select from the views that we have. We've got top, front, right, back, bottom, left, isometric, and trimetric. So right now we are on the top view. If we wanted to input the front view first, we could do that. Or maybe we needed the bottom view. Let's do the front view. And then we'll put in the top view. And then we can rotate over and put in this side view. So the cool thing about putting the views like this is that NX keeps these aligned. So if you move one of the views, then the other view gets moved as well. So it always keeps them aligned, which is nice. Now we are missing a couple of things. If we look at our drawing, we have these hidden lines here that is showing the inside, the bottom top edge of our box, and then these inside walls. So we need to actually go in and generate those hidden lines. And the way that we do that is we have these bounding boxes for each of the drawings. These boxes are not displayed when we actually print the PDF, but we see them when we are creating our drawings. It's sort of a way of selecting the view. You can even see that as we highlight it, it says exact orthographic view, ortho 2. This is front 1. So this is a way of sort of selecting the view. So we want to select this view here. This is our front view. And we want to go to settings. So it's that A with the brush. We're going to go to hidden lines. Right now, we are processing hidden lines, but they are invisible. We want them to be the dashed line. And we can hit OK. And now you can see the hidden lines appear. We want to almost every time process and show hidden lines. If we're not showing hidden lines for whatever reason, we need to make a note of that. So that whoever's looking at the drawing understands that, yes, hidden lines are not being shown, and here's why. Otherwise, it's just going to be confusing. So we want to show hidden lines, and if not, we want to make a note of that. So we need to show hidden lines over here as well. So I'm just going to do the same thing. Click on the bounding box. Click on the A for settings. Hidden lines. Instead of invisible, we want them to be the dashed lines. And we'll hit OK. We don't have any hidden lines for our top view, so we don't need to worry about that. So we can go ahead and add our dimensions for the box. And the way that we do that is if you come up to the top left of this middle box here, we have dimension. So there's lots of ways that we can dimension things. Sometimes we need to actually select an angle, or we want to make sure that we are using a radius or diameter. We could also just use rapid though. Rapid sort of infers what we're trying to dimension and then changes whether we're doing a linear or radial, angular dimension. Typically it works just fine. Sometimes it doesn't. So we'll go ahead and use the rapid. And we're going to define this line here. I'm going to dimension this. And I'm just going to, I like to just put in the dimensions and then go in and edit them afterwards. So also we need to dimension this line here. So this is the length and the width of the box. And while we're here, we'll also go ahead and do the shell thickness. So I'm going to click on this line, and then see, I can just dimension that line, but it's not really useful information to us. What we want is from this line to that line, this wall thickness. So I'm just going to click on that wall right there. And we've got a 0.25 from this edge to that edge. And let's go ahead and put on some more information. So to edit this, so we can click and drag if we need to move this around, that's fine. If we need to edit information, then we can double click on our dimension right here. And we get this dialog box that pops up. And this is where we can put in other information. So if I wanted to put in text before the dimension, I would be in this box here. If I wanted to put in information after it, this box here. This would be below it, and this would be on top. See the X point XX, that is the dimension. We can change how many numbers are shown past the decimal point here just by changing that variable or that value. And then if we want to add a tolerance, we can come up here to the tolerance drop down, and we can add a whole list of tolerances that we have here. So we want to equal bilateral tolerance, and we'll keep that 5 thou. Just clicked on the mouse wheel to exit out of that. And we'll do the same thing for this value at the bottom. Put in a bilateral tolerance, 5 thou. The 0.25, the shell thickness, also needs to have a tolerance. So we've got a 5 thou tolerance. I'm putting the typical, the TYP right there to kind of indicate that all of these walls are that same 0.25. But then I'm also going to put at the bottom, I'm going to say all walls and floor, just to be as clear as I can. So we have the length of our box, the width of our box, the thickness. We need to show the height of our box. And I'm going to do that in this drawing, the front view. So I'm going to go back up to our rapid. And I'm just going to select this line. Do the same thing that we did before. I'm going to come in and I'm going to change this to a the equal bilateral tolerance. And then we want our dimensions to be organized. So typically, if we only have one dimension, we would want that to be in the center. It's okay if it's not, but just to make this look nice and neat. Also, we don't want the dimensions to be too close to the drawing. I like to keep them outside of that boundary box right there. So that's typically where I try to line everything up, is just around the edge. We don't want them like all the way out here. We also don't want them so far in that they're touching the actual drawing. So try to use that boundary box to our advantage and line up our dimensions close to that boundary box. So I'm going to do the same thing up here. That's a big part of doing these drawings is keeping everything organized. If it looks messy, it's going to be hard to read. And we don't want to make our manufacturers, our machinists mad by bad part drawings. We want to make them clear. We don't want to give them more dimensions than they need. We don't want to over dimension. We don't want to under dimension. So we don't want them questioning our drawing. We want them to be able to look at it, understand it, and then make our part. Now I'm going to add one more view here. I've got some room up here, so I'll go ahead and put in either a trimetric or an isometric view. These are really good to put on drawings if we have the room, just to give an actual 3D view of what the part actually is. Don't really super need it here. I mean, we're just doing a box, but we've got the room, so let's go ahead and do it. So what we're going to do is we're going to come back up and add another base view. And we don't want the top or the front. We want either an isometric or a trimetric. So isometric is going to look like that. Trimetric is going to angle down a little bit more. So I think I'm going to actually put in the trimetric. We'll just put it over there, hit close. Now, if we look back at our drawing, what we have is this is shaded in. See, these are all static wireframe, but this is shaded in. That's what we want to do with our isometric and trimetric drawings, is we want to actually shade them in. This is just added detail. And so we're going to click on the boundary box, and we're going to again go to our settings. This is the same thing that we did when we went to go process our hidden lines. We don't want to do that. We don't want hidden lines on for these views. We want to go down to shading. And right now it's in wireframe. We want to change that to fully shaded. And I'll hit apply just to make sure that it's good. And that is. And so I'll hit OK. So a few more things that we need to take care of is that we need to specify the material that we're going to be using. We're going to add a title over here. And then also we need to make a note to the manufacturer for the size of the box, or the size of the cylinders that the box is for. Just puts more information for the specific sized box. And we can add that information by making notes. So if we come up to the top, next to dimension, we have annotation. And we have this note. We can create a note. So we can click on that. And this just allows us to add text to our drawing. So we can change, we look at the top left, we can change the font that we have. We can change the size as well. So we wanted this to be a 2. We could change that. So my first note is I'm going to say our material. This is ABS. And then we can just click wherever we want this to be at. The next note that we can do is we can go ahead and also put in the title. So for the title, probably should be a little bit larger. So we can go to 2, looks about right. And we can say cylinder box. And I'm going to click over here so that it puts it in the title box. Looks like that. And we can go back down to R1. And we want to notify the manufacturer that this box is to be used with the specified cylinder diameter and the cylinder height. So I'm going to say note, this box is designed to work with the following. I'll have that. And then I'm going to say cylinder. And we want to be able to say the cylinder diameter. So I want to put in the diameter symbol. So I'm going to click inside the box there. I'm going to come up here to symbol. And we have the insert the diameter symbol. We've got the diameter. And then here's something cool that we can do is we have these parameters already specified in the part itself. So we've got cylinder diameter and then cylinder height. We also have the clearance as well. So rather than putting in just whatever the cylinder diameter is, what we can do is we can link it to that parameter in the model. And we do that by coming up to expressions. So we want to link to part. And the part that we want to link to is our box. We can hit OK. Now we have access to the parameters that we input with our cylinder box. And we want to use the diameter. We're going to use 1.5, so we can use cylinder diameter. Click on that and hit OK. And now we have a value that we can just update for every box that we have. So we can update this value whenever we go and update the cylinder diameter for the box. So if we go to the box, if we go to homework 7A and we change that cylinder diameter to 3 inches, we can come back to our drawing and just update it, and it will change this 1.5 to that 3 inches for us. So we don't have to go in and make any changes. We can just update the drawings. So I'm going to put this about right here. And then we also have the cylinder height. Same thing. We're going to come up to expressions. We want to link to part. We want to link to 7A. And we're going to choose our cylinder height. Hit OK. And have the cylinder height of 2 inches. I'm going to put this down below it. And I'll hit close. So let's say that I go back to our cylinder box and we change this to 2 inches. So our diameter is now 2 inches. If we go to our drawing, if you look over at your part navigator, you have all these red X's, and it's saying that the sheet is out of date, or the view is out of date. We can come over here to update views. And all 4 views should be selected. If not, you can just click on them to select them, and we can hit OK. And that is going to change the size of our models, or of our views. We can notice down here that this has not changed. This should be a 2. So what we have to do is right click on this. We have to associate it to a view. So whenever we update the view, we also update the cylinder diameter. So we're going to do associate to view, and then just click one of the views. I'm just going to click on this view, and you can see that now it updates it to the 2 inch. I'm also going to do the same thing for the cylinder height. So associate to view. Same view, that's fine. And let's go back. And we'll change our diameter, change this to 1 inch, and we'll change our height to 1.5. Now let's go back to our drawing. Now nothing's changed because we haven't updated anything. You can see all these red X's here. So we're going to update views. All of them should be selected. We'll go and hit OK. All of our views have updated, and then our diameter and height have updated because they're associated with this view. So this view is updated, so has our information here. So this is really cool and really nice to use when we have information in a note that it could change. And we can associate a lot of different other things as well. So let's make that change back to what we had before, that 1.5 and that 2. Update real quick. Make sure that everything is still nice and organized. And we will print this as a PDF. So to print this as a PDF, what we're going to do is we will come up to File. We'll do Print. Sheet 1B, that's fine. We want to do a Microsoft Print to PDF. And the settings, image resolution, we want high. And we want to print to file. And then we can hit OK. It's going to ask you where to save this to. I'll just again go to the downloads, name it correctly. So this should be 07C. And you should have a PDF of your drawing. So that's it for this one. Thanks for watching.